Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and I thought I would do an update on my Chromebook 101 video that I did a couple of years ago. It's still getting watched a lot, and a lot of things have changed with ChromeOS over the last couple of years. So what we got on the desk here is a Chromebook Pixel that, in full disclosure, came in free of charge from Google, and we're going to be talking about what ChromeOS is now in 2019 and 2020 because it does a lot. And I think it's actually a very good solution for a lot of different types of computer users. So we're going to talk about what ChromeOS is and is not, what you can do with a Chromebook, and we'll also take a look at some of the many Chromebook options that are out there as well. Lots to talk about here. Now, I do want to let you know, in the interest of full disclosure, that this particular Chromebook we'll be demoing here in the video did come in free of charge from Google. However, all the opinions you're about to hear are my own. Nobody is paying for this overview, nor is anyone reviewing it or approving it before it gets uploaded. So let's get into it now and see what ChromeOS is all about. So before we jump into what you can do with a Chromebook, it's important to know what a Chromebook is and is not. Chromebooks do not run Windows. They don't run the Mac operating system. They run an operating system called ChromeOS, and it's something that initially was just an operating system that would boot up to Google's Chrome browser, which I'm sure you are probably familiar with by now. And it did a very nice job of doing that very basic task. Now, over the last couple of years, Google has been updating the operating system pretty significantly, and now it can do a lot more. But at its heart, it really is an operating system designed to run the minimum for what people might need for general computing. And by general computing, I'm talking about things like browsing the web or working on documents or doing email. If you're going to be editing video or doing a lot of high-end photo editing, doing audio editing, CAD design, a lot of the higher-end tasks that need more powerful computers are things that you probably would not want to buy a Chromebook for. But if you're a student just writing papers and doing research, if you're someone who is just looking for that computer to do email and web browsing, these are a really good choice because Google is basically going to keep this up to date for you. Very little is stored on the computer itself. Most of it gets stored in the cloud, and they are very hands-off from the standpoint of having to maintain and understand what's going on with the computer. You just can't do much with them beyond the basics, and I think for a lot of people it makes a lot of sense to look at this. I bought a Chromebook for my mother because that is the kind of use case that she has. She browses the web and does email and not much more. So I think that's really where you need to keep your mindset with these devices. And if you are doing just general computing, this is a very good general computer. But if you need to do more, again, like video editing, high-end gaming, and that sort of thing, you probably do want to go look at Windows and Mac devices for that. I should note that you do need to have a Google account to use your Chromebook. Those are free. You can pay more to get additional storage in the cloud, but generally for most folks, the free account will end up working just fine for you. But you do need that Google account to get into it, and that is what you use as your username and password to actually log into the computer. So do make note of that. And the screen here is pretty basic. What's going to happen here is you're going to be presented with your Google Chrome browser. You're also going to see some icons for Gmail and a few other applications. But most of these things, when clicked, will actually bring you to the website. In this case, Google Docs, or in the Gmail case, your Gmail email browser interface, and generally will not load up a different app. Now, what's changed with ChromeOS over the last couple of years is that they have integrated Android apps into the Chrome operating system. So if you have apps on your phone that you like a lot, if you have apps that you bought on your phone or tablet, there's a good chance that you're going to find that app on the Google Play Store that you'll see right down here on your Chromebook, and then start poking around for apps. Now, one of the things that I hear a lot from people is whether or not you can run Microsoft Word on a Chromebook. And the answer to that question is kind of sorta. If we jump into the Play Store here and do a search for Microsoft Word, we will see it. But what you will be downloading is the Android version of Microsoft Word. And if you were just doing the basics, it's probably adequate for that. But if you are doing more than the basics, you're going to find things not working the same as they do on a Windows device. So this is the Android version of Word running on a Chromebook, and I have a template that I pulled in from Microsoft on my Windows machine just to see what it looks like. and it does look the same, but there are some things that are not. And one of them is when I go to adjust the position of this bug, you can see it's not wrapping the text around properly. Now, granted, this is more of a desktop publishing, more of a higher end thing, but if I was on my Windows computer right now, the text would be reflowing around this bug, and I haven't been able to find a way to get this bug to have the text flow properly within the application here. So there's going to be features that are missing. It's going to look similar, but it won't be the same. So if you're doing a lot of advanced Excel documents and a lot of advanced Word documents, this is probably not going to work for you. What Google, of course, would love for you to use is their version of word processing and spreadsheets and everything else, which of course are Google Docs. So if we jump into Google Docs here for a second and load up a template that is very similar, you'll see the experience is going to be more advanced. But note here that we're actually running the application through the Chrome web browser because that's where Google Docs lives. And for example, if we grab this image here, you can see that it is flowing things properly. In fairness, I also loaded up the web version of Microsoft Word, and I had the same issues with the text flow there as well. So the bottom line is that yes, you can run the Android version of Word and get most of the features, but it's not going to be up to the level that you would have on a proper Windows machine. And that's one of the trade-offs you're going to run into when you choose a Chromebook over a Windows device. Now for me, I use Google Docs almost exclusively, so this is not a big deal. But for other folks who really depend on Microsoft Word and really like that interface and that ecosystem, Chromebook probably is not going to be the best solution for you because it really can't run its own native version of Word, Excel, and PowerPoint at the time that I'm recording this video. But of course, the Google versions are pretty good and very competitive. Now, because you can run the Google Play Store, you can install games that you might find on the Google Play Store. But these are the kind of games you can expect on a Chromebook, things that you would normally see on your phone or tablet. So this is Crossy Road, a fun little game to spend a little bit of time playing. This is the style of games you can expect, the casual kinds of stuff. And you'll find that a lot of the games that run on your phone will also run here. And some of them might actually run better depending on what your phone or tablet is currently configured to do. But just don't expect a lot. Don't expect what you would get out of a Windows PC, for example. And if you browse through the game section of the Google Play Store, you can see the kinds of games that you can run. So they've got Pac-Man and Plants vs. Zombies and the new Mario Kart game, not the one you can play on your Nintendo, but the one you can play on your phone. They've got Minecraft, for example. That should be able to run. PUBG looks like it's available. GTA, San Andreas. So there's a good selection of games, but again, not much more than what you would see available on your phone or tablet. Now, one of the things you'll find on the Play Store on your Chromebook are the apps for streaming video, like Netflix and Amazon Prime Video. We're running the Amazon Prime Video app here right now, again, the Android version. And one of the cool things that you can do with the Android version is download stuff for offline viewing. So on this laptop, I can download a bunch of movies and watch them on a plane. And that's something you can't always do with a Windows machine or a Mac computer. Windows does have some apps that allow for offline viewing, but not everything out there supports it. There's a little bit more compatibility here for that on the Android side of things, and I can download my daughter's favorite movie at the moment just by clicking this button here and be able to watch it offline. And that's one advantage you'll get from this. Video watching on Chromebooks is great. Many Chromebooks like this one have USB ports as well as card slots for SD cards, so you can load up movies and other things onto your Chromebook to watch later. Most Chromebooks don't have a lot of internal storage, so using the external storage for media usually is pretty helpful. And that's one area I think that Chromebooks do quite well with, is all of this video streaming through the Android version of those apps. You can also just go to the websites and watch content that way as well. But again, I think the Android versions give you a little bit more flexibility. Now, one thing I really like about Chromebooks is that it does a lot of what it does in the cloud, which means that if your Chromebook should ever get lost or stolen, when you get another one and log in, everything is just back where you left it. They generally do a very good job of keeping your preferences, your setup, all the apps you have installed. Everything just kind of comes right back to where you left it. And you could have multiple Chromebooks and just log into each from there. You can also have multiple members of your family on your Chromebook, and because so much of these things are cloud-centric, a lot of what your family member does on the laptop will have no impact on you whatsoever. And that's one thing that I think Google has executed quite well with these. Additionally, if you're using a PC or a Mac and a Chromebook, all the things that you do on Google Docs or on the Chrome browser with your bookmarks, all of that stuff will just continually be in sync. So if you don't touch your Chromebook for a couple of weeks and then come back to it, generally everything is up to date when you log back in. Again, it requires a Google account, but you can have multiple accounts running on the same device. Now, one thing that's improved dramatically on ChromeOS is printing. So if I go down here to print, you can see it has my Lexmark printer already ready to go here. I set that one up a little bit earlier. But there's also some printers that I haven't yet used with my Chromebook that are also appearing here automatically. Now, these are all network printers, so they are connected to my Wi-Fi, and now they are being detected, whereas in the past you had to do a lot of additional configuration. In fact, this Lexmark printer didn't even work at all on ChromeOS until just recently because it is a bit of an older printer. But as you can see now, it is working just fine. Now, you've got a lot of different hardware options for Chromebooks, and many Chromebooks are under $250. They're not going to be the fastest things in the world, but they certainly will get the job done for basic computing. A lot of them have display outputs, so you can plug them into an external monitor on your desk and kind of use them as a desktop. There's a lot of 11-inch devices that come in at that $250 or less price point. A lot of those are used in education because many school systems have one-to-one Chromebook programs where they issue out a Chromebook to every student. And as such, some of those lower-cost 11-inch Chromebooks are quite durable because they have to survive a kid's backpack or worse. And I can tell you from my experience with my local school system that these little Chromebooks do quite well. So that's definitely one thing to look at. Another thing you'll notice on the lower cost Chromebooks is that not all of them are running with Intel processors. On the Windows and Mac side, just about everything has an Intel chip inside or an AMD chip. On the Chromebook side, you'll find a lot of ARM processors from companies like MediaTek or Rockchip. And those can often perform at about the same level or sometimes slightly better than their Intel equivalents at the price point. And you oftentimes get better battery life out of those ARM-based devices as well. So don't be afraid to get a non-Intel Chromebook because it will run the ChromeOS and some of the Android applications just as well as the Intel chips do, again with slightly better battery life. Now, as you work your way up the price ladder, you can get into higher performance computers. This one from Google starts at about $1,000 and it has Intel processors inside. This one's got an i5 processor. There's a lot of Chromebooks at this point in the market that will cost about the same as a Windows laptop, maybe a little bit less, and should perform about the same with the same chips. But just know you can't just decide one day to put Windows on these things. They're locked into Chrome OS and don't like adding additional operating systems. Now, Chromebooks come in a lot of different form factors. The most popular, of course, is the laptop form here, but they also have two-in-ones, just like you'll see on the PC side. These are Chromebooks that can flip around into a tablet. Some are heavier than others, some are a little less clunky than others, but you have that as an available option. Many of those Chromebooks have a pen that you can use to write on the screen, so you can do some drawing and a few other things. Just note, though, that the amount of artistic applications on Chrome are not as plentiful as what you'll find on the iPad. And if you are really looking for that pen interface and wanting to do a lot of digital artwork, I think the iPad is still the best way to go. The Apple Pencil is a really advanced digital stylus that no one else has really been able to catch up to just yet. But for basic note-taking and that sort of thing, the pen-based Chrome devices, I think, are pretty usable. I've reviewed a bunch of those in the past. There's a big playlist down below in the video description that you can check out, so definitely have a look at that. And now we're starting to see some tablets running Chrome OS. Not many because they aren't so great as tablet-specific devices just yet, but Acer has one that's pretty inexpensive. Google made one last year that wasn't so well received, but they're starting to make their way into a true tablet form factor without a keyboard. They have some handwriting recognition available, so there are some good interfaces here developing on Chrome OS, but I think if you're in the market for one of these things, having a keyboard attached really is probably the best way to use these devices. I wouldn't suggest going for the full tablet device just yet. Now, before you buy a Chromebook, you definitely want to take a look at Google's auto update policy page on their support site. And the reason is that when a new Chromebook is introduced to the market, it is guaranteed to be updated for 6.5 years from the date of its introduction. So if you bought a Chromebook that's 2 years old, you will have 4.5 years of updates left on it. It's not based on the date that you bought it, it's based on the date that the Chromebook was released. And a number of Chromebooks now are no longer getting updated at all. So you'll want to go to this page, especially if you're buying a refurbished Chromebook or a used Chromebook, just to make sure how much time is left on it before the updates stop. So for example here, Acer has a couple of them, like the AC700 that expired in August of 2016. Even the first Google Pixel book has expired, and it's no longer getting updates. The laptop will still work, but if there's a security vulnerability or something like that, it is not going to get patched. So my advice is no matter which Chromebook you get, check out this page just to see how much time is left on it before you buy. And I would strongly urge you to do this if you are buying a used or refurbished one. Lenovo recently announced that they are extending the life of a few of their Chromebooks, and that would be or will be reflected here on the page. So there is some movement here by manufacturers to go beyond the standard 6.5 years, but just keep in mind that there are a lot of Chromebooks out in the market that have been on the market for a while, and if you buy today, you're not going to get that much time left on your update schedule. So again, just check out that page and make sure that you are aware of what you're getting into. Now, for us computer geeks, one of the exciting new developments of Chrome OS is the fact that you can run Linux applications alongside your Android and Chrome browser on your Chromebook. Now, this is a feature that's not supported on every Chromebook, but most of the new ones, even those running with those low-end ARM processors, will support the installation of Linux applications. Now, we're not going to get into the detail as to how to do this in this video. I did one of those already. You can check that out to get a better sense as to how to get it working. But here's what you can do with it once you get it installed. You can actually run open source applications like LibreOffice Calc here, which is a spreadsheet that doesn't require an internet connection to use. It runs natively on my Chromebook and offers many of the features you might find in Microsoft Excel. There's another application that gives you a Word-like experience as well. So if you wanted something that works offline and we're finding that the Android apps just weren't doing it for you, you've got an option here that's open source that you can install and use natively on your Chromebook, irrespective of whether or not you have an internet connection, and that can be very valuable, I think, for a lot of folks. If you're into development, you've got a full command line here. You can install a lot of different applications to access in that way, and it's really exciting to see this stuff working. And the best part is that these apps don't interfere with the Chrome OS operating system that's running all of it. Everything is containerized and separated, so it can maintain a secure environment yet deliver a lot of flexibility to the kinds of things you can do with a Chromebook. And it's going to get better and better and has been month to month. And again, I definitely would have you check out the video I did on this to really learn more about this feature and how to follow its developments. So that's going to do it for our look at Chromebooks and Chrome OS in 2020. This is kind of an update from a video that I did back in 2014, kind of introducing the concept of Chromebooks. Things have come a long way since then. Android integration is really running nicely now on the current version of Chrome OS. It really feels like it's part of the computer now versus something bolted on. It's also nice to see the Linux applications really finding a home on here as well. I think they have some more work to do in that area, but it's really running quite nicely if you can get everything going. So I think there's a lot of potential here developing with Chromebooks, and I think it's something that will be a lot more useful than it was a number of years ago. So if you're considering a Chromebook, I think it's a good time to get one, especially one of the newer ones, because there are a lot of new features that you will see throughout the course of your ownership that I think you might find quite useful. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching.
This channel is brought to you by the Lon.TV supporters. including gold-level supporters the Four Guys with Quarters podcast, Chris Allegretta, Tom Albrecht, Brian Parker, and Kalyan Kumar. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to Lon.TV/support to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit Lon.TV/s.